Good morning, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet. I am glad to welcome you to our final webinar of the series of the Resume Builder in Illinois WorkNet. And on the call with me today, I have Chelsea Jones. She will be manning the chat pod for me if I have to be looking at a different screen. And we will get rolling here in just a moment. Just to let you know that if there is a question that you have regarding the interview segment of the resume writing guide or the resume writing guide itself, we're happy to answer those questions for you. But please try to keep your questions on topic about the resume writing guide so that we don't distract any of our other participants. Again, as I said, if you have problems hearing via your computer speakers, you are welcome to dial into our conference number, which is in the chat pod above, and we'll copy that into the, oh, Chelsea just did. She beat me to it. And then the files are in the lower left-hand corner. Please take a moment to answer the poll questions, and then we will get going. All right, I'm going to share my screen here. Good morning, Mirage. And good morning, everybody else, by the way. So on our screen right now, we have the resume writing guide. And on here, we have all of the different resources that are available to you to help you write a resume. And one of the things that you can do is go here and take a look at all of the different articles, all of the different resources. And one of the things that you can do is take a look right here where it says Illinois WorkNet Resume Builder Tools, and that's what we're talking about today. Now, if you actually want to access your resume builder on Illinois WorkNet, you can do that by logging into your account. So if you don't already have an account, all you have to do is sign up and then otherwise log in. So I'm going to log in right now. And as we're waiting for that to pop up, you'll see that you get a different ribbon across the top here. And that's the biggest difference between not being logged in and being logged in, because you can access many different tools right from this ribbon. And one way to access the resume tool is here where it says resumes. The other way is to click the down arrow next to my dashboard, click resumes here, or you go to your profile and access it by going to My Tools. And just in the second row is the Resume Builder. You click on the link there. All of the options that I just showed you will take you to the Resume Builder, and then you will see all of the different aspects of the Resume Builder that we've covered in a number of webinars over the past few days. So in the first webinar last week, we talked about assessments, and then we talked about resumes on the next session. Then we covered letters and portfolios. Then we covered interviews and we covered video resumes and websites yesterday, and today we are covering interviews. So one of the best things about the interview here is this is going to allow you to practice answering questions that you might need to answer during a real interview. And what I like about this, and I'm going to show you, I don't want to keep you in suspense too long, but what I like about this is you can do it a couple of different ways. And the best way is if you have a webcam and you can talk directly into the webcam, it gives you the ability to watch how you speak when you're answering those questions. And that's very important because a lot of times people get nervous when they're answering questions or when they're talking to somebody. So if you pretend that that camera is the person interviewing you and you're talking to them, then that may help calm your nerves and all the other things that go into the jitters of actually going to an interview. So let's get rolling with this interview section. First, we want to create a new interview. And if you've already created some, you can see them in that by clicking that down arrow for all of those items. We're going to name this interview, and this is Illinois workNet Demo 6. So I'm going to start the interview, and you have some really great options here. You've got 20 questions, that's what the number in the parentheses is behind each of those items, or 10 questions here. And so if you really want to practice with the interview and all of these questions, you can answer all of them. And just practice, practice, practice. And if you want to go back and do it again, you can go back and do it again. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start with the behavioral interview. And what it shows you here is a number of questions that will be asked. And you can do several different formats. So you can pick just listen to the questions and then listen to what the answers are. You can have just text so that you can just maybe type in your answers. Audio only, so if you don't have a web camera but you do have a microphone, you can practice with just audio and then video. So let's show you the video one because that incorporates all of the components. So I'm going to open up a video. I clicked and it's thinking right now. So we're going to, okay. Oh, I've got my screen so big I didn't see the continue at the bottom. And Chelsea just reminded me, so thank you very much, Chelsea. Usually I'm working on one screen and I can see the whole screen, but I made it big so you guys could all see my screen. So what we do now is we start the process. And I can hit the player, and you guys won't be able to hear this, but what the guy did was he read me this question. So it says, briefly tell me about yourself. So then I can record my answer, and I'm going to allow my webcam to talk to me. Hi, I'm a social media strategist, and I like working with all kinds of different businesses and people. Now, I'm just kind of keeping that short because I don't see my webcam working right now. Oh, I needed to allow it. I apologize. There. Now we can see my webcam. So let me redo this. So as you can see, I just did that. I couldn't see what was going on. So now I'm going to redo it. And you get to see me in all my glory with my reading glasses and my microphone on. So I'm going to redo this. Hi, thank you for a chance to talk with you today. Just a little bit about myself is I'm a social media strategist. I've had many, many, many years of experience. I enjoy working with people. I'm a public speaker. I'm a trainer. I love just getting in and showing people how to find answers for themselves. Then when I'm done with that, I hit the stop, and then I hit save if I'm ready for that answer. Then what I can do is I can play the answer here. So I can't, let me turn my speakers on.
Question, looking for some introductory information from you to see how you handle yourself. Give a short answer, an engaging response, ending on an interesting note so that the interviewer wants to hear more.
Okay, so now I leaned down, so that's why you lost me in the screenshot there. But what the interviewer is actually saying, or what the coach is actually saying, is this typed information right here. So you can listen to what he says to you as well as read what he says to you. So that's just a great tool that you can use. So then the other thing that you can do is play back your answer. So I'm just going to play this. And you can see how I did it, how I talked, how I looked, how I was responding to the person. Now, what's interesting about this, the same thing, is that if you are on a Skype interview or a Google Hangout interview, it's the same aspects of doing this interview practice with your web camera. The customer or the employer sees only from where your camera shows up, so you want to make sure that whatever is behind you is clean. I just noticed I've got a bag hanging from my door. I could take those down and clean up the appearance behind me a little bit so that if I'm doing an online interview with somebody, then it will look more presentable. But as you're going through each of these questions, you can do this exact same thing. So if I go to the next question, and as you can see, there's a green flag when I've finished a question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my and play.
Who is your role model?
Okay. So now I have to turn off the speaker. I'm going to record my answer. My role model was my mother. She worked hard. She worked long. She gave it her all. She was always doing her best and striving for the best that she could provide for herself and for other people. She instilled in me the drive to do more and reach for more. So then I stop my answer, and as you can see, the answer is in the green box below. I hit play for the answer from the gentleman, and he is reading what is being said right there on the green screen. So I love this, and as you save the question, you'll notice that the flag went from red to green. So I just love this tool because you can go all the way through here. So let's go over what some of these questions are. What is the best job you've ever had in your life? Would you consider yourself more of a team player or an individual contributor? Can you give an example of your problem-solving ability? Now, if you notice here, they're asking you for examples of things that you've done. This is something that you can use your assessment piece to be able to answer some of these questions. So if you happen to have one of your assessments in front of you as you're answering this, then you might be able to come up with some of those answers right off the top of your head. Some of these things: why did you quit your last job? Did you have a good relationship with your prior boss? Do you consider yourself a risk taker? Many of these questions are guiding the employer to find out what your personality is and what you are going to be as an employee for them. Karen is saying here, I have seen Dee before. I think this tool will help, especially when you get a last-minute interview request and there is limited time to practice. That's a really good point, Karen, because you can play with these questions at any time when you are looking at this. You can always review what the answers should be, because even if you have completed a question, you can go back and click on it and see what your answer was or what the answer should be. So as you are working through these, that's just great. So let's go back to the Document Center and take a look at the interviews. I'm going to create a new one that is audio only. So audio B. And I'm going to start this interview. And right here, I'm going to do the inappropriate questions. Remember, there are certain questions that you cannot or should not be asked by an employer that's trying to get answers for you. Actually, I'm going to pick the text only because then we can answer. So I'm going to continue this interview. And here, it will play me are there any skeletons in your closet we need to know about? Arrests, illnesses, drugs, anything like that? Well, and then the guy's going to ask you that question, and the answer here says what you could potentially respond to that person. An employer can ask if you have ever been convicted of a crime and the disposition of the case, but not whether you have been arrested. Conviction is different than arrest. The employer can also require a background check and drug test as a condition of employment. However, any health-related question must directly relate to the qualifications for the job, such as your fitness and ability to lift 40 pounds, for example. If you haven't had any issues, you could take the direct approach and simply answer no. You could respond by saying, there are no skeletons in my closet. Or you can choose not to answer the question directly by saying, I can certainly understand your concern about these topics, and I assure you that I have all of the qualities and qualifications that this job requires. So as you can see, you can type your answer in the box right here. So if I say, I have no, can't type this morning. And then I can save that answer. So you can do this. You can actually type your answer as well as video them with a webcam for each of these questions, so that you might want to go through and answer each set of questions both with typing and with the webcam. What do you guys think about that idea? If you like that idea, raise your hand with the little man at the top of the screen. All right, I like that. So let's go back. We've got a little bit of time here. Let's go back and take a look at some of those other questions. So once you've created a group of questions, you can go back in and access, you can go back in and access the the interviews practice sessions at any time. So I went in and did the audio A. Now what I want to do next is I want to finish these questions. So if I go back to the questions and pick one, then I can answer that question. I can also click at the top of the box and find out what the next question is. Then I can also switch interviews. So if I want to go to a different interview, I want to go to interview practice 12, I can see what these questions are and what I either did or didn't answer. So this is a real nice way for you to find out all of the different questions that might come up during an interview. I'm sure there's other specific ones related to specific jobs, but this is a great way to just look at a vast majority of the questions that people might ask you. Make sure that you're prepared with your answers, and I'm just going to go back to this assessment section here again. Looking at the accomplishments with all of these skills, you can have examples added into all of these areas so that if the question comes up, you can use this as a reference point what have you done with writing, or what have you done with speaking, or based on your particular skills, you can go back in and take a look at all of those items. So that's it for interviews, unless we have any other questions from the audience. I am happy to answer them for you, and as always, if you have any questions for interviewing, you can ask those right now. If you have any questions at all about any other component of Illinois WorkNet, you can send that to info@illinoisworknet.com. Well, thank you, Mark, for joining us today.
Did you
And
cover
we
how to
will
share?
I'm sorry?
Did you cover how to share the interview prep that they did?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll do that. Okay, so if we've got an audio, up here at the top, again, you can rename the interview if you want to. You can delete it if you want to, and then you can share it. And what this has is a link. So if you do happen to be working with a career navigator, you can share this link with that career navigator, and they can then view the work that you did based on those questions. And then they can come back in and go over the questions with you. And if you need to go back to this question about would you consider yourself more of a team player or an individual contributor, if you need to redo it based on a discussion that you have with the career navigator, you can always redo your answer in here. All right, so did that answer your question, Chelsea, and show the people?
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone, for your time today. We appreciate you participating in our series. If you did not get a chance to attend the other ones, they are posted on our YouTube channel, as well as used in our news items that come out by email to you from Illinois WorkNet. And Chelsea pulled up the closing poll, so if you can take a moment to answer those poll questions for us,